Catching the fish of 10,000 casks is a daunting task. When you finally hook into that fish of a lifetime, you need to be prepared to land, unhook, and release the fish back into the wild. On today's Tuesday Tech Tip, we cover essential musky tools every musky angler needs. Let's get to it. When you finally do catch your first muskie, you want to make sure that you can safely release the muskie back into the water. Some of the tools that you'll need are hook cutters, long nose pliers, jaw spreaders, boga grips, gloves for handling, a good measuring device, hook sharpener, leaders. Obviously you'll need line, rod, reel, and baits. Let's start off with hook cutters. I have a nice pair of Nipacks here, and I think they're the probably 7 or 8 inch model. They're made in Germany. They're very, very sharp. Well, not sharp, but they're very strong, and they can cut some of the biggest hooks that you have. And they're jointed here, and they're just very, very strong. You want to use these kind that have these little joints in them, and not just a regular set of wire cutters. And you want to use these when you can't get the hook out. If I go maybe 5 or 10, 15 seconds and I can't get that hook out, or if it's just in a place where I don't want to rip it out of the fish's mouth or gills, I'll just go in and cut those hooks and then pull the hooks out of the fish and then release it safely. So these are very, very essential. Next, we'll talk about pliers. I sometimes use these smaller nosed pliers if the hook is just in the fish's mouth at the edge, I can easily grab it, and this is in my reach. But if it's down there deep, and especially when it's in the net and you're reaching down in there to try to grab that fish and pull the hooks out, I use these long needle nose pliers. Your hands are back here safely away from the fish's teeth and the hooks of the bait. So now I can just reach down in there, grab that, release it, and throw the bait out, and now I'm able to handle the fish and move on. Next, you want a good set of jaw spreaders. These are really cheap, but they're very, very good. You put that in the fish's mouth and let it go, and it just opens that fish's mouth up. Then what I like to do, we'll talk about the boga grips next, is I like to grab the fish by the front of the lip and hold it up on the gunnel with that, and this will hold the fish's mouth open. Then I can get my pliers and just release the hooks, and I'm good to go. These are very, very cheap. Highly recommend that you get them, because sometimes you just can't get that fish's mouth and it keeps wanting to close it and you can't get in there. Next, we'll talk about these boga grips. These are somewhat controversial, especially these kind, because they're kind of sharp there. And if you grab this boga and you put it in the fish's mouth and then you pull the fish up and hang it, I've done this a time or two, it's not good. Now if you do it just very quickly and grab the fish and you support it by the belly, then it's not too bad. I mainly use these, again, as I said before, to grab the fish's lip, put it up on the side of the gunnel and open its mouth up so I can get the hooks out. Try to always use my hand on the gill plate to hold the fish. But if you decide you don't want to do that, you're afraid of cutting your hands or getting your fingers by the fish's teeth or the hooks, hopefully the hooks are out, then you can go ahead and use these bogas. The trick is to go in, put this on, pull the fish up, put your hand underneath its belly, and then pull up as one as best you can. That way you're not pulling with all this pressure and you're just basically holding this part of the fish's mouth with the bogas and not putting a lot of pressure, because I've seen some fish's mouths where they've split through and they've got a big gap in them. Next are gloves. You don't have to use gloves. I've used them and not used them. I usually get my fingers kind of cut up sometimes when I don't. I like to use one if you hold with your left hand at a minimum. Put the glove in your left hand. I like these. I think these are narrow. I'm not sure what kind they are. This has like a coating here, and they're pretty thick. Now you can't obviously just reach your hand down in the fish's mouth with them because they'll still cut through. They're not really made for that. This is just kind of keep some of the abrasion off your hand, and I like that they're tight against my hand. I can slide up underneath the fish's gill plate and not break their gills, and then you can get a good grip and then pull them out. So I do like gloves. I usually wear them. Next is some type of measuring device. You can get a nice big bump board, but I find this to be a really good solution. I have a plastic bag here that it keeps it dry, and I'll pull it out. I can just roll this out, and it goes all the way up to 64 inches. And it's made by Tyrant Tackle. It's called Tyrant Rollaway and BB1. Then it rolls all the way out. You can get it wet. You always want to wet these before you put your fish on to measure it. This end is plastic, hard plastic. Always you want to spread it out. Put your fish's nose here. Lay it out that way. If you hold right-handed, you want to put this to the right. Measure this way. If you're left-handed, then I always spin it around, put it there, put my fish down this way to measure it out. When you're done, wash it off in the lake. I usually set it out and let the sun dry it out. Then you can just simply roll it back up when you're done. If it's all the way dry, I stick it back in the plastic bag and then just throw it down in my bag. And then I just throw it back in the plastic bag, seal it up. And I've got my bag here. Just throw it in my bag along with all my other tools. These bags are a good idea too. I got this at Cabela's. I can put all my hooks, all of my sharpeners, my pliers, extra small hooks, clasps, everything. Put ropes in here, throw all my hook sharpener if I have that. My gloves, I usually roll them up like that. And I'll just throw them in this edge in the end, along with my winter gloves. Zip it all up, and that carries, and that's everything you need. Then last but not least, you'll want some kind of net so that when the fish comes in, you're not just reaching your hand down there and trying to pull it out of the water. And the one I recommend is the Frable Conservation Series. What I did was I took the bag that came with it and I took it off. I didn't like it because of the coating that was on it. So I went to Loki, called up Loki, they're a net maker, and I had a special custom-made net bag that was nice and rubberized. It had 1-inch holes in it, and I just really like this setup. It's nice and deep. When you net the fish, they set down and it's just like a live well. So that about covers it. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, help me grow my channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Musky Tools, take 1. You need to prepare. Man, that sounds so just. Unhook and release the fish. I think I already said all that. On today's Tuesday tech tip, nope. Catching the fish of a lifetime can be a taunting. Catching the fish of a lifetime, nope. It's just so hard.